Here, you're ready for your dose of reality. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Doctor Quack podcast. I'm your host, Doctor Quack, and
I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. But before we get started, you haven't taken care of yourself in a while. You need to do something about this. Folks, he just looks horrible.
I feel I look fine. I mean...
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you look fine.
That's what I do well. But guess what we can do today?
I'm trying to stall here, if you couldn't tell. Folks... This is, again, we're going over Rebecca from West Virginia. She asked us to review some WCW pay-per-views. And when we looked at this one on paper, this one looked like a really good one. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history. But boy, were we wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you have to cover WCW pay-per-views.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We still don't want to discourage you from sending in your comment, your questions, or if you'd like to see us review some other pay-per-views we haven't reviewed. So please, just because we didn't like this one and we're going to destroy this one, doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you.
And I'm going to tell you, I ain't going to completely destroy this one, but this pay-per-view here, this is the one we're going at. As you can tell, it did not sit well with the important one here. We're talking about the Great American Bash, 1996. Let me tell you, the important significance of this pay-per-view was the one before. This is the month before the NWO was formed.
Well, they had been teasing it, but before, this is the pay-per-view before Bash at the Beach 96, where the mysterious third person was revealed to be Hulk Hogan, where Hogan cuts the promo about being the new world order of wrestling. So he's right. Technically, this is the month before. But there's also a lot of other historical significance about this particular month of June of 1996, just in general, that we're going to go over. So this was a very pivotal moment in wrestling history.
Yeah, I mean, and this took place in my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland, in the Baltimore Arena. You had Tony Schiavone and Dusty Rhodes on commentary.
And they should stop that. Stop that! Oh my God, Dusty Rhodes took away from the product. Dusty Rhodes is a legend, Hall of Famer, but commentary, if you will, he just don't have it, Froggy Daddy.
He was feeling it, baby. Didn't you feel it? I felt it.
Well, I will say that they did a couple of good things right off the beginning. They started with the national anthem, and they let Sergeant Craig Pittman, who was a former Marine, come out and hold up the U.S. flag, and they mentioned the recent passing of Dick Murdoch. So they did do some things really well right in the beginning. So I'm not bashing every single part of this pay-per-view. There were a few good things here.
Yeah, you would have Mike Tenay jump in there very early because he was doing at that time the international pay-per-views as far as the world was concerned. But yeah, you had Mean Gene Okerlund. He was there doing his interview skills.
His shtick. It was no longer his interview skills. It was his shtick. He was a shill for the hotline.
He did too, man. Anything for a buck, you know, that was totally what Mean Gene did.
Yes. So let's get it started now. The first match we caught to be kind of interesting, and it was the Steiner brothers, who were not a champion at this time, facing a tag team called Fire and Ice, which Fire was Scott Flash Norton, a big star in Japan, and a former Big Arm, a world arm wrestling champion, and his tag team, Ice Train. And,
all I can say, the magic word of the pay-per-view for me is sloppy.
Yes, sloppy. This match was really too slow. Again, we've talked about it before with Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner's a jerk. He tried to take some liberties with Scott Norton, and Scott Norton hit him so hard he rolled out of the ring.
He failed miserably.
So this match was actually, didn't have a lot of liberties taking, but it was still very, very sloppy. Ice Train was very green. He'd only been in the business about a year and a half. In fact, he debuted in 94. So in 1996, here he is, 2 years in the business. And it showed. And the crowd was mild. They did not react at all during this match.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I gave it 2 stars. I mean, I mentioned this every podcast about setting the table. This was not a good match for that. I mean, this did not fire up the crowd. Nobody was excited. And frankly, it was somewhat very boring.
Very boring, and again, sloppy is not an understatement. The finisher was Scott Steiner doing his Frankensteiner, which for those of you that don't remember it, it's the Hurricanrana where he would throw him into the ropes and he would catch him and try and do the Hurricanrana as they were running. Scott Norton didn't take it well.
The match gave you gas. I could see that.
Yeah, no, this match was 1 3/4 stars. I'm done talking about it because it annoys me that 3 of the 4 guys in this match should have had a better match.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, what can I say? I'm with him on that. Next matchup here, El Gato taking on Conan.
This was our first debut of a referee we hadn't seen very often, and after watching this pay-per-view, it's really obvious why.
Yes, this guy gets my 2-finger salute. Randy Eller, excuse me.
Yeah, he was so bad. He had a mullet, so
He did.
Randy Muller would be a proper name for him, but Randy Eller, he really hurt. This match was already not very good. And he hurt it because he had a very slow cadence that really made when Tony Schiavone tried to get excited behind the match, which he didn't do very well either. But you'd hear Tony Schiavone won and waiting for the second 2, and the referee was still waving his hand to make the 2 count. He was really slow, and it hurt the production of this match. And El Gato, the outfit they made him wear was a tiger mask with a pair of sweatpants on. It was Pat Tanaka, by the way.
Yes. Good old Pat Tanaka.
Conan coming out with his I'm Lucha, but I'm not Lucha stuff that he used to wear. And the crowd just didn't care on this match. Really, Conan was not a big marketable star in the United States for some reason. He never caught on. This match didn't really play out very well. 1.5 stars. The match itself was okay. The crowd just didn't care.
Yeah, they really didn't. I mean, I gave it 2 stars. I felt like, this could have been a lot better. I mean, I've seen Conan matches, and believe me, he worked a lot better with other people. I think this was just bad chemistry all the way around.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, the next match here, Lord of the Ring. This was back when you had the Battle Bowl ring. That thing was beautiful, by the way. But this was Diamond Dallas Page against Marcus Alexander Bagwell of the American Males.
Yeah, Scotty Riggs or Scott Anton and Marcus Alexander Bagwell were the American Males that were part of the WCW Special Forces against Diamond Dallas Page. This is heel Diamond Dallas Page. The crowd was still flat on this match, but they wanted to come out. They started to come out towards the end. The problem with this match was that Bagwell and DDP had no chemistry together. Their timing was never there.
It was off.
And they've had other matches and their timings were never great. These guys just had no real chemistry. So while it was there were a lot of issues with the match, I did give it 2 stars. They worked hard to get the crowd going. They knew the first 2 matches had hurt the crowd, hurt the pay-per-view. You could tell the effort they were trying to get the crowd going, so I will give them 2 stars for that.
Yeah, I went 2.5 just because of that. They did attempt there. I felt like the crowd, like you saying, they really wanted to get involved in this show.
Yes.
I mean, being from Maryland, knowing how professional wrestling is, people take that with high importance up there. Wrestling fans love it. You know, even WCW, which everybody says is all south. Believe me, when it comes up north, people pay attention to it. But yeah, I give it 2.5 on that. Next match here, WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Two of my favorites here, Rey Mysterio Jr. taking on the man of 1,000 holds, D Malenko.
And this is where we brought out, this was where Mike Tenay made his way to the announcing booth, because this was seen as an international match, because this was the debut of Rey Mysterio Jr. in WCW. So this was a really, really good match. Malenko was able to retain his Cruiserweight title. This match, however, showed one big difference between WCW and the WWF. That until the next pay-per-view, which is Bash at the Beach, WCW is very one-dimensional. They were stuck in the 50s, 60s, old-school kind of matches, where you had a brief 20-second of flash, and then there was 8-10 minutes on the mat with one hold. And this goes back to, as we were going to talk about a little history, Wrestle War was when Cowboy Bill Watts was still running it.
Yep.
He was getting ready to be released, and they brought in Jim Herd. Jim Herd is often joked as the Pizza Man, because he was an executive at Pizza Hut before he became an executive at WCW. And the reason he got the job is he used to work for the Dumont Network that had Wrestling at the Chase. So they didn't realize he knew nothing about wrestling. All they knew was he worked at a TV show, at a station that had a TV show, a wrestling show.
Yes, TV producers do not make great bookers. Listen, WWE, to that. I'm going to repeat it. They don't make great bookers.
Yes, and Jim Herd invented things like the Ding Dongs. He wanted to create a tag team called the Hunchbacks. He wanted to repackage Ric Flair by cutting off his hair, putting on an earring, and calling himself Spartacus. Jim Herd did a lot of damage to WCW. And we avoided all of that, and now Eric Bischoff had just taken over. He hadn't been in charge very long. And he stole from Japan what became known here in the United States as the NWO, or the New World Order. So you can see some of that old school influence is kind of working its way out as you watch this pay-per-view. But this match, for two guys who were cruiserweights, they spent more time on the mat than they did in the air. And it hurt this match. The crowd was very hot late, but most of the time they sat on their hands.
Yeah.
But the match was really good. It was technically sound. I did go with 2.5 stars on this. It was a very good match.
Yeah, I'm going with you on that. And also the referee in that match, you know, Mr. Two-Finger Salute during this show, Jesus.
Yep.
He botched up so much. It was horrible.
And there's one other thing. This is going to be a little bit of inner working, so I apologize for you purists because I'm breaking a little kayfabe here. The referee kind of keeps time on the match. He's listening. And this referee, Dean Malenko stayed in charge way too long. You want to try and take the crowd on a journey. You don't want to have one guy doing too much damage one way or the other. And the referee was not telling Dean Malenko, okay, turn it over a little bit, get the crowd going. That was another fault of this guy who he was really out of his elements.
Yeah. And moving on here, I think I've seen this match before in another federation here. Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart taking on John Tenta.
Yeah, we're joking about that. We have reviewed this match when the roles were reversed, and it was in England, one of our first mail call reviews.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have seen it, because it was obvious that these two guys just don't work well together. They don't really have a lot. They're both big guys, but they're used to not working other big guys. And it showed. Big Bubba, he was now part of the Dungeon of Doom. And John Tenta had just left the Dungeon of Doom. He was the Shark. And now he was using his real name, John Tenta. And the one thing that I noticed about this match, every match before this had some kind of pin attempt with the guy's feet on the rope. And this was another, like I said, one of those things of WCW is very one-dimensional. When somebody mentioned an idea, everybody wanted to do it. And they shouldn't have done it in this match. 1.5 stars. The crowd did like the match for reasons. I think Jimmy Hart out there, I'm going to give Jimmy Hart a lot of credit because he was managing the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah.
But all in all, this match was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, now I see where Baron Corbin gets his ideas from watching the Boss Man slide in and out of the ring. And oh my God.
Yeah, we were joking about that when we were here in the office watching it. We were like, man, I didn't know Baron Corbin was wrestling at this time.
Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. I mean, like I said, this all just fell flat. This pay-per-view, you see why the NWO was so important to build. But I'm going to tell you, this next match, this gets my Quack Attack! Because this was the match, in my opinion, of the night here. Chris Benoit versus Kevin Sullivan in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yes, and just for a little back history, this is 6 months before they had the start of the Nancy leaving Kevin for Benoit storyline that turned into real life. So this hasn't even happened yet. This is still 6 months before that.
Yeah.
But Woman was part of the Horsemen, which Benoit was a Horseman at this time. So this match was incredible. These guys always brought intensity personified.
Yeah, I mean, I was there actually at this show. And let me tell you, I was on the hard cam side. So when they went up to the bathroom during this fight, I was on the opposite side having to see this on the screen. This show, I mean, this match here was definitely A+. These guys, they said they never took liberties, but man, I'm telling you, that the physicality in this fight was unreal.
And the table that they brought in there was a solid table. They were throwing each other into this table. This table wasn't breaking.
Yeah, this wasn't a pre-cut. You could really tell.
And again, we can't understate how the intensity of this match. I went into the bathroom, and I was really disappointed to see how slow the backstage people were, Doug Dillinger and the security crew, that the fans had made their way into the bathroom, and they were almost touching the wrestlers. One fan almost got kicked from just them bouncing around. So Doug Dillinger really did a really bad job of trying to keep the crowd back and keeping everybody safe at this show. But that doesn't take away from the intensity of this match. 4 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars myself. Benoit came out victorious, and this is where, and all a part of this Quack Attack here, Arn Anderson said it, he earned his stripes. You know, this is where he became a Horseman. This is where he ended up beating the crap out of Kevin Sullivan really bad. I love this match. This was one of my favorites.
Yep, they did put over that Arn Anderson was playing both sides. He was loyal to the Horseman, but he was kind of siding with Kevin Sullivan, and then he came out and beat up Sullivan and cut a backstage vignette afterwards that said that was the final tipping point that Benoit had earned his spot.
Yeah, and he was definitely a part of my favorite 4 Horsemen there. Later on, it wasn't. We'll tell you who else joined there today. Oof. That's coming up. Okay. So next match, Lord Steven Regal taking on Sting. This is something that shocked me because I didn't remember this match. But, you know, this is classic, you know, mat wrestler against Showboat. Yes.
And this match, I was a little disappointed with this match. I really, really was. This was, again, another one-dimensional match. Steven Regal took 80% of this match.
He did.
Just putting the heat, and then all of a sudden it's a really quick win. It was like a shock win. So Sting did win with the Scorpion Deathlock.
He did.
But it was all of a sudden he hit his splash and then the Deathlock was on. It was really anticlimactic in the fact that it was so fast you didn't really realize what was happening. And I did go 2.5 stars, although I felt it wasn't that high, but the match was technically solid, and if this match would have happened 10 years ago, this match probably would have been a 4-star selling out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it 3 stars for the simple fact that you've got Sting, who is the face of WCW. I mean, he was the guy that, you know, fans loved. Him and Flair, and that's still to this day. You mentioned WCW, those are the first 2 names that come out. I mean, I felt like, it was a good enough match for that. It really helped boost the crowd, and the crowd was excited, and it just came off a high explosion from the match before.
Yeah, but the crowd wanted to cheer. You could tell there were times they were cheering when Regal had him in the heat, or putting on rest holds, putting on chin locks, and the crowd was getting into it, but Sting wasn't. So I don't know. Sting was a little green at this point, but the match it was really too long of one-sided offense to have that surprise win. It didn't feel right, even though the match was technically very good.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It carried along the show here, because the next match here, this was a big one they were building up. Kevin Green and Mongo McMichaels with Macho Man Randy Savage in their corner, taking on Ric Flair and Arn Anderson with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Woman. And don't forget Elizabeth.
Yes, and this is back. WCW's always like to have that big fight feel. This is the first of the two matches. They brought in Michael Buffer to be the ring announcer.
Yeah.
And he gets paid a lot of money to come out there. I really don't see what he brings to pay-per-views. You shouldn't be paying your ring announcer more than you're paying some of your talent.
Let's get ready to take their money!
Don't sue us, Michael Buffer.
Pretty much.
All right, so we're stalling on this match. I'm sorry. Mongo was not horrible in this ring.
No.
Mongo was not horrible. Kevin Green was. Kevin Green only knew how to do a body slam and a flying clothesline.
Don't forget his chop blocks. Yeah.
Those weren't even done very well.
Yeah, but Mongo looked really good. I mean, I gave this match a 3 1/4 because of the finish. I think I loved that. Mongo ended up becoming a horseman. They gave him the t-shirt and a briefcase with all the money, and he cracked Kevin Green upside the head with it.
Yeah, and they had a little fun with it. I only gave this match 2 stars. I agree the little more historical should have been given to this match. I should have rated it higher. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I liked how the wives of the football players came out in their team's jackets, and then all of a sudden they run the girls off, and then Deborah comes back out wearing a dress with the briefcase that was full of money and the horseman t-shirt. So Mongo became a horseman for the next year or 2 at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to take a lot of flack for this. I don't think he was a horrible horseman. There were worse. Sorry, excuse me. Apologize about that. I apologize. He wasn't horrible. Paul Roma.
Oh, leave Paul Roma alone. Yeah.
But this match still, for as limited as Kevin Green was, and really even Mongo being as limited as they were, this match did go too long. So I did only give it 2 stars, but it should have gone better.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like I said, it helped set the table. I felt like the fans were getting involved in it. They loved it. And Kevin Green was actually an active football player at this point with the Carolina Panthers. Moving on here, this was a great segment here. This was Eric Bischoff interviewing Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
Yeah, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. This was where they get told they're going to have a match. And it's going to be a 6-man match, and they don't know who it's going to be. But Kevin Nash and Scott Hall played back that, well, you don't know who our third person's going to be. So it was also the one that Eric Bischoff took the powerbomb through the table. Now, he's already given his 2-finger salute. I'm going to give my you smell salute. And it goes to all of the WCW backstage crew. Because, well, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall they didn't work for WCW. The backstage people were really slow to get out there for Eric Bischoff to even check on him and make sure he was all right.
You missed a spot over there. You need to spray that. I'm telling you, you need to hit that side too. Right over there. Yes. Thank you.
Because it did. It took them almost 2 minutes to get a gurney out there to check on Eric Bischoff. And if you're putting over that these two were invaders, they sure were not in a hurry to fix it. So my you smell goes to the entire backstage production of WCW for this show.
Yeah, it took them a long time. Even Dusty Rhodes sitting there had to babble. It was funny watching Tony going, here, take over. And Dusty's like, no.
Yeah, Dusty trying. He was trying. God bless him.
I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. I was like, oh my God.
But this segment is a 2.5-star segment because it does set up what became the NWO, which started the Monday Night Wars. And as we brought up in the history, the next week pay-per-view was King of the Ring 96, where we get you got your Psalms, you got your John 3:16, Austin 3:16 said, I just whooped your ass. So that's what we mean about June of 1996, one of the most historically significant parts of wrestling history.
Yeah, I mean, if you go look on paper, both of those pay-per-views, WCW should have been a better pay-per-view.
Yes.
You know, looking at the cards. Now we're going to get into the main event here. Lex Luger taking on the Giant with Jimmy Hart for the WCW World title. How many titles did Luger have? Like 17?
Luger came in with the TV title and the World Tag title.
That's right.
And all they did the whole night was try and put over Luger's resume because they can't put over his wrestling skill. As we jokingly said, we were having some fun with this. Luger's selling style was to yell, ow.
Oh my God.
He get whipped into the corner, you hear a loud ow. He gets body slammed, you hear a loud ow.
That's all you hear on him. It was Alfest.
The whole night. And the Giant, I'm sorry, the Giant was a year in the business, so he can be forgiven. His Giant Big Show Paul White scream was heard a lot, so it was the battle of the loudmouths.
Yeah.
But this match was really god-awful. Lex Luger couldn't carry a match, and the Giant was too inexperienced to know how to carry a match. Jimmy Hart, he knew what to do, but he only could go so far.
Yeah, it was all around bad. I gave it 2.5 stars. This was not a way you want to end the show.
No.
It was awful. Luger attempting the torture rack and of course falling, and then Giant over here hits him with a choke slam. I mean,
yeah.
it was garbage.
Yeah, the crowd was bored, no excitement. They were even too bored to yell boring. I mean, you could see crowd looking at their watch. You could see people mapping out how they were going to get out of the arena. The crowd did not buy this match at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible. This also explained why WCW had two great things. And one of them was cruiserweights, and the other one was the NWO. As you can see, no NWO on this card, so it was really needed in that next show.
Yes, and if the NWO would not have taken off, WCW would have been dead before 2001.
Yeah, there wouldn't be the Monday Night Wars, guaranteed that.
So the Monday Night Wars really helped all the way around because WWF was really struggling at this time as well. So this month in history really saved our great sport and propelled it into the 21st century. But looking at this, I'm amazed that it took off. Actually, I'm not, because the crowd so badly through this whole show wanted to be entertained and just were not.
Yeah, but wait, don't worry, buddy. Look, this was the good. We're getting ready to see what's next here.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to see it.
Hold on. Let me.
Don't look. Oh God. Yeah.
Folks, I will understand if you do not tune in and watch the review of this match. I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, I am. Because it has a lot of important significance.
Oh my God.
I want to thank y'all for tuning in. If you can, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I want to see this video go out, and I want to hear your opinions. Are we right? Are you right? You tell us what you think. I'm Dr. Quack.
I'm not saying it. Take that off the screen. Take it. Come on, get it. Thank you. And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem, telling you don't watch this.
You've been forewarned, and I'm out.